All right, well, welcome to the DDHQ here in Compton, California. I know you want a tour. You've had some questions for me off camera, but there's something I'm gonna give both of you, because I'm genuinely, we're friends and I want you to know. And I figured, hey, we're already filming this. Something that I've never told anybody, which is I know exactly how DD ends, because a lot of people have asked me and I've never shared it. I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna do this forever. But the truth is, I actually do know how it ends. I'll tell you in this episode. So first of all, it's 30,000 square feet, just the building square footage. And then you have this, what I'm about to reveal to you behind this gate, enormous parking lot that is gated from both sides. So 3 sides of this building, we've basically turned into just our playground, and we've coined it the Block in memory of Ken Block. And the fact that this is Hoonigan's old building, when they had it, they used to call it the Burn Yard. But they really had so many employees here. They had something like 40 people here at any given time, and that probably fluctuated. And they used
that's massive.
A lot of this as employee parking. We don't have 40 employees. We actually have Dave, myself, Mike, and Tim. Dave and I leave, as you're aware, and I don't know if these guys are aware, but Dave and I leave to go home and spend time with our families in Canada 50% of the time. We do what's called week on, week off. And so we come down and we work for a week, we make all of our content in that week, and then we go home for a week. And we daily upload between 2 channels. It's very high stress. There's a lot of risk involved financially, clearly, which I'll get into more detail. As the channels evolved, we've really wanted to evolve and escalate the driving, but not do it in a really careless way that potentially could risk losing the channel.
Right.
Instead, I made other decisions that could lose the channel, like getting this building.
So am I right in thinking that one of the massive draws of the building, there's plenty of 30,000 square foot buildings in LA.
There
but
are.
Not with what we're standing on right now.
Correct. So it's kind of like, you know how there's the there's a holy trinity to getting a building and a location that will allow you to do what we do in this back block area. The landlord, first and foremost, has to be okay with you tearing up their property. Then the neighbors, the neighboring businesses or anybody around you has to be okay and not make complaints. And lastly, the city has to be okay with what you're doing. And this is the only place in all of Los Angeles that has those 3. There is not another.
So it's a unicorn building, effectively.
Do you know how big LA is?
That's unbelievably, like intimidatingly sprawling.
Somebody, get your editor to take a shot of Los Angeles and show the sheer footprint that is this city.
Yeah.
This is the only place in LA that you can do this.
For what you do?
Yeah.
Couldn't be more perfect.
Yeah, and then it was just super crazy how we got it through Hoonigan. You know, we had a friend who worked there and said, hey, look, you know, Hoonigan's evolving and they made some choices that don't involve moving forward with this property.
Right.
You guys interested? And I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, this is overwhelming. So this came up, we quickly came over here. We had a peek while it was still Hoonigan. They were actually in the process of already moving things out. And Dave and I were like, man, we don't need the building.
Right.
But you're never gonna get another opportunity to have this.
It's funny because you'll understand what he's saying when we go inside. You aren't joking when there's 4 of you in 30,000 square feet, and sometimes 2.
Literally right now, we're out here filming.
Yeah.
The only people in that building right now are Mike and Tim in this garage working on a car.
Right.
And Dave somewhere in his office. That's it. And that's because Dave and I are in town. The draw is the tarmac we're standing on because it is a safe, legal place to do the most extreme things you could ever imagine doing in a car. And Hoonigan had proven that. That's what we loved about it. It's not like we saw the opportunity to get the building and we were like, oh, maybe it'll work. They were already doing this here. We were just gonna expand it. Because we didn't have 40 employees, we were like, that whole side of the building was used for employee parking when it was Hoonigan.
Right.
They had barriers right about where that garage door is, cutting that off, and that was all employee parking. So their version of the Burn Yard was really only this area and this one little corner.
So you like doubled the space.
Dude, we took everything out. I said, if we're getting this building, I want to make sure every square inch of this back lot is drivable. And that's what we've done.
And that's what you've done.
That's what we've done. In fact, we've even invested our own money into patching up a bunch of the holes that were back here. This surface is 3 different surfaces. There is actual tarmac or asphalt. There
Yeah.
is then a bunch of concrete, but the concrete goes from like a polished, very slippery surface to actually some patched asphalt pieces to
Mad.
the other side of this parking lot is concrete, but it's got like texture to it. We got a quote, by the way, just for fun to see what it would cost to repave all this.
Right.
And we were like, yeah, no.
Go on. What was it?
150 grand.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is what we got the building for. Now, when we stepped into this, what we didn't know is what we didn't know. You ever heard that? There's 3 things in life that you can always count on. The things you know, the things you know you don't know. But then there's always the things you don't know you don't know. And we got here and there's a lot of things we didn't know. So let's start with the most used, most exciting room, I would say, in this whole building. And that is workshop with the 3 bend pack service lifts.
So this is the room that and I'm sure a massive percentage of people watching this watch your channel.
Yes.
You watch the channel, this is the room where all of the builds take place.
Correct. For the real simple reason that this is where we have the 3 service lifts. We can have 3 cars here being worked on at once. We do have a room where we have 4 just kind of storage lifts, you know, the 4-post ones.
Yeah, sure.
So this is, like I said, for the lack of the better term, this is just where all the cars are built. This is the building room. This is kind of a crazy car to start with. It's the twin turbo F12. This was literally a street chassis car when I had it. It's gone through a bunch of variations on the channel. The obvious ones in the beginning where it was straight piped, screamed, naturally aspirated V12. I used to slide it around and I thought, how cool would it be to elevate this and build some type of top mount twin turbo Hoonigan-esque supercar. So I did version 1 with Aaron Kaufman.
I remember that. It was nuts.
During that period of time where everybody was on lockdown.
Yeah.
I actually shipped the car down to Texas.
Oh, really?
I had nothing to do with it. I couldn't leave the country.
That's crazy.
I blindly paid him a bunch of money and just let him do what he could. And he came up with a running, operating twin turbo F12. I drove that car for a little bit, had some issues, some hiccups. I sent the car to Gintani in LA. He made version 2, got it running better, ran on pure race gas, 110 octane. Eventually I was like, it's still not meeting my needs for the channel. And I came up with, let's just blow this thing apart and make it a real drift car with Formula Drift champion Mike Essa, who's our head tech, our head fabric. He's really the only guy here who's got that level of experience. He kills it. And while we met Mike, he came with a guy by the name of Tim, that a lot of people know on the channel, who's Mike's right-hand man, who's been with Mike in his race program for years. But this is, and we can show this is the current state of this absolute monster. It's, I would say it's pretty serious.
It's highly serious.
From a few angles.
This is no joke.
Financially, this car is the thing in this building, beside the building, that is the first vehicle we've ever done on this channel where instead of getting a car, putting a set of wheels on it, revealing that on the channel, and recouping through sponsors, ad revenue, and all that, the money from having to buy the wheels or whatever we're gonna do. This is the first time I've laid out the money, and the video views are it's not converting, so to speak.
Right.
So we're in the red for the first time on this car by $352,000 negative.
Do you have a forecasted estimate of what this build will be once it's built?
Be $1 million.
$1 million. And you already started with an F12.
That includes the car.
That includes it.
Yeah. So
but it's $1 million all in.
$300,000 car when I bought it 3.5-4 years ago.
Right.
And then I'll put 700 grand into it.
Crikey, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure the camera's doing this thing justice. I mean, the work on it that Mike and Tim have done is exceptional.
It's
amazing.
It is
Truly spectacular thing.
It is. And there's a gentleman that Mike found over in Sweden who built this out of one piece of billet aluminum, and it's beautiful. Like, it's on the car right now, but if you were to pick it up and look inside it and everything, it's really like the jewelry, the piece, as well as the custom made new exhaust manifolds, right?
And you guys have made the equal length headers.
Equal length to try to bring back the sound of the V12 while it's still being twin turboed. And that is to be determined when we start this thing up in 45 days.
45 days. That's a serious intercooler, man.
It is.
So everything on it is bespoke, custom built. And is that why it takes some time?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
It is all custom. Everything's hand built, all thought out by Mike. This is and will be the only Ferrari F12 in the world that is 3 pedals,
Right.
We'll have a clutch pedal because now it has a sequential gearbox.
Okay.
We'll have 1,500 wheel horsepower, full exotic fuel, basically race car. Is it? Ferrari never made a race car version.
They never did an XX version of the F12.
They did the 599 and then just forget it.
Right.
So this is kind of the end of this building. If we go this way, I'm going to show you what you can now hear.
But all of this stuff that we're just casually walking past, like a lot of investment just in this room.
So we bought every piece of machinery.
Okay.
Thankfully, Benpack and DD have had great relations over the years.
Yeah.
And like everything, we start small and build our way up.
Sure.
But they gave us the 3 lifts, 4-post lifts. They gave us all these fans that you see. It's very hot here today.
Like
you guys on the camera
it's not
can't
coming
tell.
through on camera, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
it's very hot. These fans keep it cool for the boys to work in here because there's no air conditioning in a warehouse. We have air conditioning in one small section of the offices up front, which we'll eventually make our way to. Be able to say hi to Dave. Dave's probably hiding in the office right now. So this is the actual fabrication room.
I mean, you have like a very serious, like tier 1 level engineering shop here.
We bought all of this cash.
Mate,
No,
this is
no
not
financing. Here's Formula Drift champion Michael Essa, the brains, the guy who knows everything about cars, the complete opposite of me, really. Amazing driver as well, but he does all the stuff, right? And then he has Tim who helps him with like the nut and bolt stuff, but like everything that's fabricated and built goes from here to the computer, to this computer, then gets cut out here, and then with these 2 hands, show them the hands. They're very different.
Dirty hands.
So, I mean, look at these in comparison. Look at these.
Look at
It's not on.
Building cars, holding a camera hands. Yeah, he does it all, man. It's like, you can't even really put it into words how impressive it is.
So on the channel, I mean, you know, I've seen comments over the years where people assume like it's a facade and it's like, oh no, they must have external help, and you guys are really doing, it's you and Tim. It's really you and Tim, right?
And when they're here, there's 4 of us. That's
right,
it.
that's
like
it.
In this massive building.
Yeah.
So, and when they're gone, it's Tim and I just cranking away in the shop back there. So
It's wild.
It's wild.
There's parts of this building that like, when we're not here, they even say like, we don't even go in there. So yeah, look at all this stuff.
So when
Think about the sheer...
I was just about to ask, when you're buying this stuff,
Yes.
is this stuff that has sort of evolved along the way? Like Mike's gone, you know, we could really do with one of these because I need to make this thing.
So yes, we went to Mike and said, hey, in order for you to build this car, what do we need? And he just wrote a list.
You went to get
And then
funded the
he
list.
sourced it, and then we went out and picked all this stuff up or had it delivered.
Not cheap.
A lot of the stuff was at the old HQ because we thought
really?
that's where we were
Okay.
going to be.
Right, I see.
So I'll tell you, moving this stuff is not fun. It's R&D. There's so many variations to get to the final product. Like he'll make a part and then remake it and refit it and then remake it. So parts go on and off the car 5 or 6 times before he eventually gets to the piece that he's like happy with, and it functions and operates and everything. The design is where he wants it. And then he makes like the final nice piece and then gets it finished if it needs to be powder coated or treated or whatever.
If you were an actual workshop, that is your commercial business model was to be a fabrication shop, you would use these on the next project and the next project. But you're actually a YouTube channel that needs to keep creating next projects to keep this stuff justified.
Correct. The things you were building would be built by customers' money, not your own money.
Right. So you're funding the shop and the projects.
Yeah. So we've now just gone from the main garage that the cars get built in, through a door, into the fabrication, through another set of doors, and now we're into this one room that we've turned into our tire shop. So really
I can't
quickly,
believe you have your own tire shop.
we go through a lot of tires here between all the cars.
Well, I
that,
suppose when you've got your own drift patch, you're going to get through some rubber.
Correct.
This is why you guys have lots of tires.
This is exactly why we
Look
have
at
lots
this.
of tires. There is a completely bald tire. That came off of Mike's drift car. So
down to the canvas.
this was brand new. This would have been done with Mike driving in 3 minutes. All right, let me quickly just show you the outside of the tire shop because that is my handy artwork right there. A little bit of what they call tagging with a spray can. I gave it the drip art look.
Nice.
And if you look around the corner, this
very
is the
LA.
other side of the parking lot that just continues on right to the other gate.
Colossal.
So we call that is the east gate, and the other one is the west gate.
You drift all this.
You can see the
How
tire
cool
marks
is that?
up here.
Yeah.
Just while we're out here, I'll point out that is our dually and our trailer, and that's what we've used to move the cars around. We're from Canada, so sometimes if I want a car in the summer back at home, we'll throw it in here and we'll fly down a transport guy and he'll drive it all the way back to Canada. Take about 2.5, 3 days.
It's the stuff you don't see. The actual reality of the logistics behind the scenes to get stuff done.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Crazy. Let's go to the next room. So tire shop, we took this is the smallest room in the warehouse portion of this, and we just turned this into basically wheel and tire storage. So these are wheels that have tires mounted that are ready for the cars should they need to be put on, or there are a lot of OEM wheels in here because we put a lot of aftermarket wheels to change the design.
Do you share this on the channel much? Because even I'm not aware that you had this many sets of wheels. I've been walking around here for like a week now.
This is actually quite a small amount of wheels.
Seriously?
Because we just sold a bunch of cars.
Right.
And one of the cars came with 9 sets of wheels. But you can see like stock Squadra Corsa wheels,
Yeah.
stock SVJ wheels.
Stock Ferrari wheels.
What wheels are those? You should know those wheels. What are those?
They'll be Senna wheels.
Stock Senna wheels. Because we put aftermarket wheels on our cars to give them their own life and design. So
Right.
speaking of the cars, let's go through to what we consider our version of a showroom.
The garage.
Not quite a dealership level showroom,
That's
but.
nice. It's very cool.
So this is where we keep the cars. We have Dave's Squadra Corsa, my manual Murcielago. You're familiar with that car, the Senna.
So you're in the middle of a sort of refresh right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, we had a bunch of cars that we just weren't using, and we had a lot of money tied up in them. And so Dave and I had a conversation and said, why don't we take the money from those cars and figure out what we want to do moving forward for the next 12 months. That manual Murcielago, as far as I'm concerned, will go with me to the
You think
grave.
that is a forever car?
Forever car. And then
Gonna
this
take that up
too,
to Monterey.
you know?
It's gonna be cool.
Like there's nothing I could go for what I spent on this car. I can't go and replace this car. There's no car on the market that will touch this for what I bought it for.
The next place from here, I think we discussed this a few days
Yeah.
ago. Like, I really believe this is like an entry-level hypercar.
100%.
And the next level from here is
Double the money.
it's like Yes Go Valkyrie territory.
You have one. You were the inspiration for me, honestly, sealing the deal on this. We talked a bunch when I was first playing with this idea, and I
Yeah.
pulled the trigger and have not regretted it from the day I got it.
What's
It's amazing.
Kind of crazy. Like, if anyone's just seeing this car now and didn't see the beginning of the journey, this is an entirely carbon-bodied Senna.
It is.
Which most people would consider as like a holy grail.
Yeah.
And David put a wrap on it.
I did. I actually put
Which is
4
good.
layers of wrap on
It
it.
looks amazing though. It looks incredible. So just to contextualize this,
Yeah.
because it's easy to go, oh, he's had
Which
it wrapped.
took 9 months to develop this wrap.
Right. So ballpark figure for this wrap versus like a conventional wrap.
So exposed carbon PPF,
Yeah.
right? So PPF the whole car.
Yes.
Then wrap the whole car in this.
Yeah.
Then wrap the chrome over it, which is a pattern,
Right.
right? And then wrap the nose in more PPF so it doesn't scratch the chrome.
Okay.
And then add all the decals on it.
Which is all hand applied individual parts.
Yeah. I was told by the owner of Protective Film Solutions that this retail would be $20,000 US to do this if a client wanted it.
That gives you an idea of like, there's wraps and there's wraps.
Then there's wraps.
Yeah.
And then I had
Different
custom
ballgame.
LM wheels made because you can't just buy them from McLaren.
And when you say custom, they literally have DDE.
Yeah, in the
stamped
wheel.
in the side of them and the same LM font.
Correct. And there's a reason why people are like, why don't you call this a GTR? Well, it's simple. McLaren made a GTR version of the Senna. And so I'm not trying to mimic that entirely. They also made an LM version of the Senna. And the LM version is a street version. It's not wide bodied. It doesn't have extra dive planes. It's this body with a few tweaks, such as it does have a louver on the front fender, but it also has a gold tipped exhaust, which I love. And it has the same style wing, and then it has these wheels. So I wanted to do a play on my version of a DDE LM car. So wrap, wheels,
Exhaust.
full titanium exhaust. Sounds amazing. All right, here's a fun room. It just goes from room to room. We've gone, by the way, from 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th room we're in. Now in here, let me turn the lights on real quick. Well, this is so big that, you know, when Hoonigan was here, they had a full-size Airstream trailer in here. And when they basically moved out, they had a team of people chop it up into pieces because they built the walls around it. So now they couldn't get it out of here.
You're kidding me.
Not joking. They had to cut it up to get it out.
It's like you could play football in here. It's like a basketball court.
So we joke that this is Tim's office, this whole room. And we have friends like Garrett, who you've probably seen on the channel in his Lamborghini, who also has this really cool JDM Civic hatchback.
It's got the sort of like Braun F1 style accents on it.
Who, you know, when you have friends who don't have as much space as you and they have cars, or like, hey, can I park a car at your garage? We're like, yeah, sure. Throw it in one of the rooms. Let's continue on to what was Hoonigan's front store. And this was like where they sold merch and stickers. and you could see cars. They had cars lined up here. There is a car in here, actually. It's black. You can't see it.
Yeah, but believe it or not, there's an LMP3 car just hiding in the shadows here.
Correct. Here we go. So this was Hoonigan's store, and we threw, a buddy of ours has Race Cars For You online. He sells race cars, as the name would suggest. And we hosted our last event, and we said, hey, can you send maybe something, you know, front and center worthy to put on display? And he sent this LMP3 car, and we were like, man, this thing is crazy.
You know when you hear that really cliche statement when a brand launches a sort of track-focused car, and a journalist will say, oh, it's like a track car for the road. Come over here. This is like the whole race car for the road cliche statement. That's what an actual race car looks like. It always is. It's like a pet peeve of mine when someone says, oh, it's just like a race car for the road. It's not.
No.
It's like
and it's, you know, smashed.
Sponge and scratches everywhere.
So this is what we're eventually going to turn into a store, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of money to do that, and we have a 2-year lease.
So I was about to ask you, right? We've walked through what I would classify as a lot of like dead space, empty space.
Yes.
Do you have plans for the rooms?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Because it's so big, like
It's massive.
It takes so much money to do one room that like we have to justify like why I would do it. And
What's the ROI?
As I've already, yeah, what's the ROI?
Yeah.
And I've already explained that car and this building alone has put us in a really tough situation. Total transparency, we legitimately sat down, Dave and I, when I say we, and said, can we afford to finish building the twin turbo F12? Because Mike's talent comes with a salary that justifies why he's good at what he does after 25 years of his life. And then Tim, he needs hands. And then he does also outsource the odd person to come in and help weld, right? Like some of the welding on the cage was done by a guy named Sean.
Right.
So then there's him on top of it. And sometimes when Dave and I aren't here and something's happening, we got to capture that on camera. So then we got to bring in Mark, who's our videographer and editor. And it just adds up.
All this stuff stacks up, right?
Stacks up, man.
That's crazy.
And so we're not made of money. We
I could really
do
see
this,
a merch store here, though. I could really see a DD merch store here.
and we're gonna build something like that out.
Yeah, it'd be super cool.
But when you think about it, we literally have to make videos to keep it going. It's a lot like picture a car. You're in a car and you're driving down the road at night, and these are the headlights. The headlights only show so far down the road, and you have to trust driving into the night that as you go, the headlights will reveal the next part of the road. And sometimes while you're driving, all of a sudden you can go for hours and nothing's in the middle of the road. But you could be driving down the road at 60 miles an hour and all of a sudden the headlights reveal like that out of the blue, this problem or this pothole or this thing on the road. And in seconds, you have to make a decision that hopefully don't make you crash or crash and burn or wreck your car. And that's a lot like what this business is to us. It's like, we don't have all the answers. I don't know, right? Like, I'm just going along with what I think might work based on my experience. And so far, clearly after 11 years, like if we can pull this off with only 4 guys,
incredible,
right? Like we're not in that bad a shape if we keep making the right decisions. But it truly is, any wrong move will wipe us out. It's just that simple.
That's a good cut point.
What we're super grateful for, and I don't want it to all sound like doom and gloom, we're really happy and grateful to be here because, listen, Hoonigan put $500,000 into this building, built all these walls, these rooms, these doors, this system. So it's really cool. You can't go in this room. This is locked, right? Watch. I have a card. Now I can go in. And so it is really convenient because we can use these rooms to our advantage as the brand builds and develops, yes? Yeah, so what I was thinking for this room, ironically, is they had employees in here and desks. This room does have air conditioning on the ceiling, and
I wish it was on.
I know, I wish it was on too. I just don't want to pay for it. You know what our first bill was when summer hit with the aircon?
Go on.
$4,000 just for electricity.
A month?
For the 1 month. And this is the stress that we have to come up with ways to keep people entertained and to keep making money to justify all this stuff. And stuff pops up. This expense, that expense. It's never ending. Again, I don't want it to sound like doom and gloom, but I just want people to appreciate the scale of what it takes to keep this going.
I think one of the purposes of the video is, obviously it's cool for these guys to see in here and have it really candid, but also I think it's cool to really just be like, right, drop the show and be like, look, the reality of this is, it's all fun and games on the channel, but the reality to keep this going is beyond anything anyone would probably expect.
And honestly, I mean, I'm skipping some details because, you know,
I know.
We don't need this to be, this would be a 10-part documentary.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is the last room that's super hot. And then after this, we're gonna get into the air-conditioned rooms.
What's this room?
This,
anyway, I'll let you crack on with this one.
Yeah, this is the room that we, I would say, infamously revealed that we were in a new HQ without revealing what HQ.
Okay.
Because Hoonigan never filmed in here.
Did they not?
Ever.
Ever.
Because this was the warehouse, and there were a ton of, see these?
Yeah.
These were once sticking up with threading.
Oh yeah.
We hammered them into the ground. They're all over the floor. This had metal racks bolted to the ground. And this is where Hoonigan did 16 million a year out of selling their own merch.
16 million turnover on merch.
Yeah, we called this the donut room because when we revealed our video, we did donuts in here. And this is actually also where I did donuts in my 599 when I first got it.
Yeah.
And I was just laying on it and the car caught on fire in here, which was super stressful.
This is cool.
This is a Hoonigan piece of property that they sold us. It's all tagged up. We left everything on here. I was a big fan of the brand and Ken and what they all accomplished. This is my favorite van that Dave drove into a fence. These are all long stories.
This is my favorite van.
This is the one we went to Car Weekend 2 years ago.
I was laughing in that van to the point of being unable to breathe.
Yeah.
It's the best car.
Dave wrecked it. You can blame him. We'll go see him in the office. These are, for the better part, Mike's stuff. Mike had a garage, and in order to consolidate everything so that Mike could spend his time here and not have the stress of paying for a garage just to store stuff, we were like, Mike, we got enough room. Mike brought his stuff over here. So there's Mike's drift car that he built. He didn't compete in this. He actually sold his competition car recently. This is a car for a client that he's finishing that he had. It's his last project that was at his shop. Then he has a project car that he picked up that he's building on the channel. This AMG GT had a blown motor. He rebuilt the motor, bigger, badder, stronger. That'll be his project on the channel. If we were to walk out this door and go back around this wall, we would end up back into the garage that is where the cars get built. Now we're about to walk into what is our kitchen area. This basically has a fridge around the corner, a microwave. There's no stove, none of that stuff. Now let's go to where we've all been waiting to go. The air conditioning room, the offices.
Oh my God.
The air conditioning offices. So this room we just turned into like a chill room. Take a seat.
Oh, it's like the psychiatrist's
You might want to put
chair.
that forward or you're going to fall asleep while I tell this story.
It's comfy. I can see
I'll find out real quick what our friendship's made out of. So I told you at the beginning of the tour, I would share with you and the audience exactly how Daily Driven Exotics ends. There's an interesting statement to make.
It's a pretty bold statement, man.
Right? Because a lot of people have asked me, are you ever going to do like what Hoonigan did or like sell a company or what? And I have an answer to that. The answer is no. I actually have no intentions of ever selling Daily Driven Exotics. To sell a company, if you don't know, you would have to build said company out and create every little department the way that Hoonigan did to then justify selling it as a fully operational system to another person as an investment. And I have no desire in training 40 to 50 people.
You don't want to put a corporate structure in place.
I don't want to put a corporate structure in place. I have no intention of trying to build that out just to sell it off to someone. Providing that I don't sink myself with this building, making a bad decision in the next 2 years. In the end, when I'm like, I've had enough of doing this, I am not going to sell the company. And I'm literally going to sell every item that I have in this business that I won't require after I'm done being a YouTuber. I'm going to only keep, so I'm even going to auction off, much like they did with the items I showed you in my office for Ken, things that are memorabilia to DDE. Much as they're memories for me, I'll always have them in my head. And I have them as memorabilia on the internet in the form of the videos I made. I'll auction all those off and take all that money and donate it to a charity of my choice, likely something to do with children who are going through a tough time. And then I'm going to hand select 2 cars.
I know one.
Completely polarizing vehicles.
Right.
That's it, 2 cars. And I'm basically just gonna make sure that at that point in time, Dave and I have accomplished everything both Dave and I want. And hopefully we both have obviously acquired the funds needed to live both of our financial freedom goals out. Now let's close the doors. I think most people would never do. We're both in agreement. It's the ultimate you move. It's when we're done, we're gonna delete the channel and all the videos.
Are you serious?
And DDE will literally cease to exist on the internet.
Dude,
Instagram, Snapchat,
crazy.
TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, we're gonna delete everything. The only thing that'll exist is the stuff people bootlegged and re-uploaded. And just
That's seriously bold.
off into the sunset driving one of the two cars and the other one will get trailered, obviously.
Yeah.
That's it. I never wanted to be famous. I really don't. I respect and appreciate what that level of fame we've gotten from doing this has at times.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to be famous. I built this to just enjoy cars and to run a business that I could actually build wealth to a point where I can sustain my family's interest in our lifestyle. You know, even at that time when I started D, I didn't start it thinking about anybody else. I was like, I need to do a career. What am I gonna do? I love the saying, you can fail at doing something you hate, so you might as well do something you love. So that's what I've always ran with, and it worked out. And yeah, one day, I don't need to be like the guy who did X, Y, Z accolades. I'm just gonna be like, cool, I'm done. Boop, turn it all off.
So the exit strategy is flick the switch.
Flick the
So you
switch.
drop the mic and see in the sunset.
Yeah. And whoever got to be a part of that at that time got to be a part of it. But I have no interest in like being a forever living legend or any of that shit. I just want to take care of my family and my friends and the people and go live life. Let somebody else have their moment on the internet. People forget about you in 90 days anyhow, Dave. Dave and I figure in 90 days, if we stop making videos in 90 days, there'd be very few people that would actually still talk about DD or us. Or
it's crazy. It's incredibly fickle system we're part of.
We just live in a world now where in the digital world, there are so many other people and new things to be distracted by that like you're just forgotten about. So yeah, that's it. The day that we wake up and Dave and I are like, we don't need to keep doing this anymore because we're fulfilled. We don't need the money. I don't need to be famous. I just can play with my car and I've got other things that are now the money's making money and I don't have to pay the bills. And yeah, that's all done. Yeah, it's just, Dave and I just thought, what a cool way to go out. Just one day, it's just all gone.
Not today, buddy.
Oh, no.
Not today.
Dude. So we have an editor's room, Dave's office, my office. We even gave Mike an office. He spends no time in there. But so if you look in here, this is my office. I haven't done much with it.
Dude.
My wife and my daughter actually
got a lot of lids.
Yeah, spent time cleaning it up for me. This is really cool. Here's the stuff I'd love to point out. A signed poster of the Hoonicorn in the LA River downtown, signed by Ken.
That's super cool.
So I put that up on my wall.
Yeah.
Dave won an auction for Ken's co-pilot's race suit.
Wow.
From one of their rally series. So this is the exact design that Ken wore.
Yeah.
But they kept Ken's and his co-pilot auctioned this off for charity and Dave picked it up. Behind you, I have two of the aero discs from Electric Kahana in Mexico.
No way.
When Ken went flying over the curb and blew these off in the movie.
I remember that.
These are actually from Jim Kahana too. So
how cool is that,
bought these. And all the money, by the way, goes to the 4-3 Institute, which is what Ken designed to help inspire, the next generation of people who want to get into, these things. All right, I just want to show you some of my trophies quickly.
Mike's got some race suits.
But Mike's won some stuff. Like, look at the size of this thing.
Dude, look at these.
They're carbon fiber.
Can I pick that up?
Yeah, they're carbon.
That's a carbon cup. Look at that. How cool is that? Wow.
And he's got a few of them.
First place. So awesome.
Yeah.
Mike's killing it.
He's killing it.
What a guy.
This is the, editor's room or whatever if someone needs to hang out and do something. Tons of junk everywhere. This is Dave's room. He does a lot of the admin, meetings, logistics. You good, buddy? Oh, hitting the bottle. You okay? How you doing?
Pocket bad? How you doing, man?
So the irony is, Dave and I, after all these years of traveling the world and making videos and doing all this stuff, it is taxing mentally, physically, emotionally. on the families. I chose to give up drinking and do whatever I could to go in the opposite direction and try to get some of my health back. I think Dave's
We're all
working.
real proud of you, Damon. The best part is that everything on that cart now is mine.
All jokes aside though, seriously, Dave and I, sometimes we wake up and go, how are we pulling this off every single day? Because the hurdles and the things that, again, it would be a 10-part documentary still cutting stuff out that we've had to overcome to make this happen. And there's stuff that he's done that honestly, maybe I don't even appreciate and understand everything because he deals with a lot of like the attorneys and the tax codes and
Admin
how
heavy
different
stuff.
Canada is versus the United States. People ask us this a lot. Yes, we pay taxes in both countries. We pay tax in Canada
It's heavy.
on 2 corporations and we pay tax in the US on this corporation. And just because we're from Canada, you would think, oh, you just write it all off, or no, we pay tax to the IRS. We have special visas to have permission to come into the country and work here. You can't just come here and work here. So there's so much that we're skipping, but like, honestly, I don't know how far you want me to go or where I should end, but the point is, if we make any wrong decision on that car and can't get the return back, this building alone on top of that and the commitment, very well, no joke, could sink the business.
Oh yeah.
Well, you got a cool piece of tarmac out back for drifting.
Yeah,
And
man,
if it all goes tits up, you can pull one of those RVs in and sleep there.
it's true.
Bring a families down.
Yeah, when the family's down.
We talked about that, remember? Getting some RVs and just staying here and
just
saving
staying here?
on the hotels and not staying at Avenue of the Arts anymore.
We hired somebody to manage some operations to start doing what I do, but so much of it takes years of figuring out how it worked. Because you go to one lawyer, tell you one thing, then another says another thing, so you have to create your own system to figure out all the little things you do. But now you make a decision so quick because you know it.
Right.
But it took years to figure out how
Yeah.
to finance or where to go. That's one thing about these businesses is so unique. Like there's no schooling, go to school, like how to run a YouTube channel across the border.
No.
Right?
There's no handbook for
And
that one.
all like in the IRS, 1 year we had a corporation set up and it was an LLC.
Right.
Canada has a treaty with the US for no federal taxes in both countries for corporations. But Canada doesn't recognize an LLC as a corporation. So I personally paid 102% tax on the money we made that year. Wow. Personally.
Because we went to what we thought was a professional for advice, but it's still our problem.
Because they're not liable for their mistakes. Like, oh,
Not
my
liable.
My bad.
bad. 102%. That wasn't a ton of money, but it was enough.
It's enough.
It was enough.
Enough, yeah.
At the end of the day, we love what we do.
Yeah.
Yay! Just joking.
No,
we
but
do
really,
love what
like-
we do. You do have to genuinely be obsessed and enjoy the process, because if you don't enjoy the process, you don't enjoy the journey, you just wouldn't do this. I would have never stuck it out for 11 years. I love what we do. I love the process. I think we're in good shape. Well, this is not clickbait. This isn't any fabrication. If we do, just like any business, if you make the wrong decision, it's all over.
It's
No
true.
one
It
gives
is
a
all over
shit
us.
how long you've been in business for.
Yeah.
No one cares what you're doing or how great you are at it. Everybody wants their cut. You screw it all up, you don't have enough money, to keep things going, you can't recoup. You can just end up in the hole to a point where eventually you just say, that's it, we gotta close our doors.
Regardless of all that, like, we don't share total, like, what we get up to when the cameras go down. But I have to say, and I'm not one for blowing smoke, but these guys are unbelievable gentlemen, incredibly humble pioneers of the game. And, being completely truthful, when I come here, I'm always inspired by you guys. You give me loads of advice, loads of help. And in this game, as you well know, it's really rare to find people on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
And what's amazing is we're from like halfway around the world.
Yeah.
And we never met each other until like a few years back. Yeah. And I said it once in the comment section. I was like, these are the guys that I wish I had met sooner. And so just to follow your journey, me and my 5-year-old boy, we watch you. He loves it, And I'm sitting there thinking how proud I am that these are my guys. So regardless of everything,
Bro,
congratulations.
we love you like
I
a
know
brother.
it's not easy, but what you've achieved is
I feel bad I
sensational.
haven't
So
vlogged. I feel bad now.
that's why I love these guys.
well, we,
Ciao.